The Steller sea eagle is a massive bird with a large yellow-orange bill, brown body, and white wing, shoulder, and stomach patches. They are native to eastern Russia, northern Japan, and parts of Korea, and feed primarily on large fish. In August of 2020, one of these birds was reported along Denali Highway in Alaska. Although seeing a Steller sea eagle in Alaska isn't unprecedented, it was odd that it was seen so far inland. Later on, in March of 2021, a Steller sea eagle was seen in Texas, which was unprecedented. There's debate about whether this was the same bird that was seen in Alaska, but either way, the absence of any bands or falconry jesses suggested that it was a wild bird. Then, in June of 2021, about 2,500 miles away from the bird's location in Texas, a Steller sea eagle was spotted in Canada. Here, photos of the bird's spread wings allowed it to be compared to the Alaska bird. It was deemed to be the same individual. After a brief stop in Massachusetts, the eagle moved to Maine from December of 2021 through March of 2022, spent the summer in Newfoundland, and started to move south, and was last seen in November of 2022 in New Brunswick. However, as of February 4th, 2023, it is now being seen again in Maine. This crazy saga has excited those in North America, and it will be exciting to see where the eagle may go next. In order to learn more about Steller sea eagles, I sat down with Tyler Hoar, who is one of the compilers of the Winter Finch Forecast, and also a Steller sea eagle enthusiast. Tyler got the chance to visit Hokkaido, Japan, where the sea eagles are much more common, but just as magnificent.
Thanks so much for joining us, Tyler.
You're welcome.
I like that guy. So you were telling me you got that the day that you saw your first Steller sea eagle event?
My second Steller sea eagle, but it was the first big event day we had. When we landed in Hokkaido, the first bird we got off the airplane was a Steller sea eagle, a young bird flying over. The next day we went and saw where they were feeding them in the morning. Mm-hmm. They take the bycatch that they can't sell and they freeze it. And they put it out in the ice on this lake called Lake Huron near Namero, and you get hundreds of eagles, whitetails, sea eagles, Steller sea eagles, and they all come right in front of you for about 2 hours and tear the food apart.
That must have been an incredible sight. What's it like to see all those birds in one place?
This was a dream bird for me. I've been dreaming about this bird since I opened Birds of Prey textbook, 30 years ago. So yeah, it was like a life-changing event to see them. They're so big.
And with the one that we've had in the US, there's been so much like fanfare around it. Mm-hmm. And so me never having seen one in person, like the first time you see it, is it just kind of awe-inspiring how big of a bird it is? Because I've heard around 8-foot long wingspan on these things. It just sounds pretty magnificent.
They're absolutely huge and massive. Like, where in Lake Huron, when you're putting the fish out, you get about 100, 150 Steller sea eagles and similar number of whitetail eagles, which are pretty much bald eagle size. Mm-hmm. And when you see them side by side, you're just blown away of how big Stellers actually are. Actually, when I was there, 2 days before I arrived, the first bald eagle, in Japanese records, showed up in Hokkaido. So we were actually chasing a bald eagle one day. We never found it, but I saw a picture of a bald eagle, a whitetail, and a Steller sea eagle sitting in the same tree.
That's really funny.
And bald eagle is small.
Yeah. So tell us more about kind of this bird that's been in the US and why it's caught everybody's attention, aside from the fact of like the beauty of it. Like, how rare is it to have one in America?
Outside of Alaska, where they had an immature bird there for a couple of years. Outside of that, it's basically unheard of. It was not, I can probably say every birder on the East Coast of North America probably did not have this bird on their dream list for Eastern North America. And actually even for Texas and that. Alaska, British Columbia, yeah, they have that dream list because it may show up there. But in the East, this bird went for a fly and just went for a tour.
Yeah, and do you think it's the same one do you think it went down to Texas and then it came up and now it's in Maine, or do you think those could be separate birds?
They do have them in zoos. I don't know if any escape, but people kept pointing out there's one little white mark on the wing. Mm-hmm. Going through, I took about 2,500 photos of Steller sea eagles in Japan. White marks on their wings are fairly common.
Oh, okay. So it's hard to say if it's the same bird or not.
Yeah, but playing the odds, it probably is the same bird, and it probably is a young, mature bird and trying to find where its friends are.
Anything else about just kind of what it was like to see all of them at once?
Awe-inspiring. Everyone has so much personality. If you watch those old Godzilla Japanese movies where they have that music when he's walking, first time I saw a Steller seagull walking across the ice, I just had flashbacks in an old Japanese Godzilla movie, because he just do this little sway back and forth as he comes. So you see 2 or 3 of them do that, come towards each other and get in a little fight over a piece of fish.
Yeah.
Every bird was individual. Like the white on the back of their head, the color of the skin around their eye, they were all individual. My favorites probably had to be the young adults that still are just getting the white in their shoulders. They look like cookie and cream ice cream on their shoulders, like crushed Oreo cookies. But they had so much personality.
Yeah. The one that's been in the US too, it seems like it's hunting and foraging and, surviving pretty well. So is there any way to kind of estimate how long it might stay? Could it be could it be a permanent resident maybe?
It wouldn't surprise me if it's a permanent resident in Eastern North America. If it settles into a routine between Newfoundland, someplace in the maritime Canada, which is similar to Kamchatka in terms of weather-wise in the summer, and then comes down back to the East Coast in the winter. Similar habitat and latitude as it is in Hokkaido. So, but who knows? Maybe this bird just decides to go across the Atlantic, goes to Iceland, and follows the north coast of Russia back home.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping it'd come to Louisiana, but I feel like it's probably not going to happen.
If it's the same bird that was in Texas, the question you and I and many other people is, how did it sneak through our area to get to Quebec?
Yeah, that's like, I think the thing that's fascinating to so many people about it is there's so many kind of unknowns. It's just been this like mysterious thing that's moving across the US. And it's so big and noticeable. You would think people would see it, like even non-birders would be like, what is that thing?
Yeah, it's just so huge. And that big white dihedral tail, you just turn your head on it for a second to see the bird.
Yeah, and there's no mistaking it, right?
It's not like, oh, it might be a vulture. You just see this thing going, that looks totally different. I got to look at this.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely an incredible story, and it's cool that it decided to come here and that it's still here. So I guess we'll all kind of just wait and see what happens with it next.
Yeah, I think this bird has quite a personality, and I think it might just want to travel the world. Who knows?
Yeah, it's checking off stuff on its bucket list. Like I've seen Texas, now I'm gonna see Canada. Go to Maine.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
I just hope it settles in there and goes. Instead of going, I need to go to Iceland and Greenland and tick those ones off.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for talking with us, Tyler. Appreciate your insights.
Oh, thank you for having me.
The sea eagle story is incredible and has been fun to follow. Will you try to go visit this magnificent bird? Let us know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.